Dirk, what's happening, buddy?
Hey, Jeff. Good to see you, buddy.
Good to see you too. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. How are things?
Good, dude. Good. And I kind of miss not seeing you on Zoom, man. This is like a like we just like 4 times a month for like the last couple of years. So
I know. It's been a long time, and I saw Adam today for the first time in probably like 6 months. So, but no, I'm happy to help you out here, and it's quite a few people that got back to me. They can't make it tonight, but well, are you going to record this meeting? Or?
yeah, it's being recorded for sure.
Okay.
And there's share all the slides as well. So we're all good.
Awesome.
Absolutely. No worries there.
Sounds good.
So
Hi, Lindsay.
We'll just give a couple seconds to jump in, and then we'll get rocking.
I don't think I met you in person.
Hi, how are you guys? No,
We've
never met, have we?
I don't think so in person, but I got lots of emails from you. So nice to meet you.
Yeah. Everyone's getting lots of emails from me these days.
Fair enough.
Okay, then 7:01. I think we'll probably start. And then certainly if folks jump in, they can catch up. And as I mentioned, we are recording this, so we can get folks who aren't able to make it can watch the recording. So hey, thanks everybody for jumping on here tonight. Really appreciate it. My name's Jeff Hoffman. I'm one of the board members here for Guelph Minor Baseball, and got some accountability around around House League and Select. And so really happy you jumped on, and quite frankly, really happy you all stepped up to help coach this year. Big thank you to you, Ian, for helping to convene this division. Really appreciate it. Tons of work we know you put into this to make it happen, and to all you for coaching. We got an absolutely huge division. Our 8U division, sorry, 8U, tons on my brain. Our 15U division is 8 teams, and is one of our largest divisions. We've had a really great response for players this year. We've totally across the board at GMBA exceeded our expectations around players. So really happy all of you have stepped up to help coach. So to start, actually, I'm hoping just to kind of go around the Zoom here and just have people do a quick intro, maybe who you are, and maybe what if you're a head coach or assistant coach, or kind of how you're helping out. So maybe Ian, if it's cool, we'll start with you, and then we'll kind of work around the room.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Jeff. Yeah, my name's Ian Dirk. I've been coaching in GMBA for I guess the last 8 years or so. I've coached House League, Select, and Rep, and this will be my first year convening. So please have patience with me. I'm going to do my best, and I'm looking forward to getting back on the diamond. Looking forward to being on a full-size diamond, which is going to be very interesting for the first few weeks, seeing those throws from third base. But yeah, it's good. It's nice that we're going to be playing at Pearson too. So looking forward to a great season, guys.
Yeah, totally. Thanks, Ian. Hey, Jerry, do you mind going next?
Sure. Hey, everybody. This would be my 3rd year coaching or 4th year coaching. I'm not sure. Coached last year in, I guess, 14U, if that's a division. I'm not sure if that's a division. But so we were on the big diamonds last year. Had a good time. Glad to hear there's so many teams. One of the struggles last year was fewer teams, so we would have run-ins with some of the usual suspects more frequently than maybe we wanted. So sounds great that we've got a lot of people, and just looking forward to getting out there again.
Awesome. Thanks, Jerry. Jason, do you mind going next, please?
Hi, Jason McGarr here. Been out of the game for a couple of years, so it'll definitely be nice to get back into it with the boys and have a good season.
Awesome. For sure, Jason. Thanks for stepping up, man.
Thank you.
Hey, Trent, over to you, bud.
Hey, everyone. My name is Trent Buick. I actually teach with Ian. I've been coaching for like the last 8 or 9 years. I won one of the select team coaches as well too. So looking forward to meeting all of you.
Awesome. Thanks, Trent. Thanks for all you do too, man. Really appreciate it. Rob, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Rob Koppel. I don't even know. I've kind of lost count. I think my guy's been playing for 5 or 6 years now. I've always helped out just as an assistant, and looking forward to getting back out there, and excited to be playing on the big field this year too with our guys. It'll be fun.
Yeah, totally. You got it. Awesome. Thanks, Rob. Mike.
How you doing? I'm Mike Dealis. I used to coach. I was head coach for my older guy a few years ago for a couple of years, and then assistant for this division for 4 or 5, 6 years, something like that. So I'm only in it for the practices. I love to play. I love the practices. So looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Best batting practice arm in the business right there.
Hey, that is like for one role on a baseball team. You need somebody to throw BP. Love that. Yeah. You could sell, you could like farm yourself out, sell your services, Mike. That's awesome.
Exactly.
I got the rubber arm, so I'm good. 300 pitches a day. I'm good for it.
Love it. Love it. Phil, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, Phil Sonics. I'm assistant coach now, probably 6 years. Second year in this division, I guess. So looking forward to it and looking to see everyone out there again.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. And Kevin.
All right. Yeah, my name's Kevin Klengeltink. I've been head coaching the last 3 or 4 years, I think it is. My son's been in GMBA since the very beginning years, and yeah, enjoyed coaching the last couple of years, and like everyone else, looking forward to getting to the big diamond.
Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for stepping up too. Appreciate it. And Lindsay, over to you.
Hey everybody, I'm Lindsay. This is my first year with the GMBA board. My son plays in the 13U House League and Select, and I'm the co-chair for Select with Jeff, and I'm the director for Junior House League.
Awesome. Thanks, Lindsay. And as I mentioned, I'm Jeff Hoffman. I'm on the GMBA board, and as Lindsay mentioned, we're leading House League and Select this year, and just thrilled that all of you have stepped up to help again. So again, thank you for all your work. And if Lindsay and I can help you at all throughout the season, please don't hesitate to reach out. So I'm going to fire some slides up here on the screen, and we'll use those to get started. It's not it. Try it again. I am better than this. Here we go. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So 15U, 22 season. So we got, like I said, we got an awesome year planned. We got lots of baseball ahead of us, hoping for great weather, and love that everybody's up at Pearson now too. It's a great way to spend your summer. So a couple of main contacts as we went around the room here. So you got Ian. I'm sure you've heard from Ian quite a bit so far. Ian Dirk's your convener. Ian's been putting a heck of a lot of work in the back end to make this get this all set up for us for the season. If you need anything, Ian's your person. Please reach out to Ian, and then Ian will probably have your answer because he's been around for a while. He's been on the board. He knows what's going on here. But if you need some help, Lindsay and I are there to help. My role is to support our senior divisions, and so there's my email address there as well. So if you need anything from me, don't hesitate to reach out. And these slides, we'll email them out to you afterwards. So don't feel like you got to take a whole bunch of notes here tonight. We'll get the stuff all out to you after our meeting today. So here's what we're looking like for timeline for next couple of weeks. So Ian's, and he might be close. He actually might be done, but by this weekend, our goal is to have our teams finalized and your team list shared with coaches. Ian, whereabouts are you? They don't have their team list yet. Is that correct, or do they have them?
Yeah, no, I haven't sent them out yet, but like you said, I am very close. I've just got a few minor things that I have to tweak. You can expect them either tomorrow or Saturday morning at the latest.
Awesome. Perfect. Thanks, Ian.
Yep.
So you'll get your team list from Ian, and then this weekend, if possible, we'd love for you to reach out to your parents and let them know what team they're on, introduce yourself to them, and give them a little bit of information. Some of the key things for them to know is that uniform pickup will start May 2nd. Up at Hometown Sports, will run for a couple of weeks. It was supposed to be April 25th, so some people may have seen that in some emails we sent out. Hometown's needs a bit more time to get everything ready for us, so it's going to be May 2nd when your House League uniforms are ready. And so that's for all the players and for all the coaches as well. You can pick up your coach shirts and your coach hats as well at Hometown starting May 2nd through to May 13th. So you need to let your families know what team they're on, what team number it is, the uniform pickup starting May 2nd. For you as coaches, your equipment pickup is next week, so you can come down to the GMBA office and grab your gear either Monday or Wednesday, April 25th or April 27th. If you run into any trouble or you can't make those dates, let Ian know. We got a bunch of folks who can't get there. We'll try to add another date. We'll obviously add another date in to get folks out to grab their gear, but if you can get there those 2 dates, that would be awesome. If you haven't been to the GMBA office, we're just on Crimea Street. in behind the food bank is where you'll find us, sort of down an alley, and then it opens up to a larger parking lot. Furthermore, on the timeline front, so spring training, the week of May 2nd and the week of May 9th we expect that you'll be on the diamond. The city has told us that our diamonds will be open come May 2nd. And so we've designated the first 2 weeks of May as a practice period for a couple of reasons. One is our players have been on the field for most part since early in the fall. So it gives you a chance just to, get some arms in a little bit of shape and just have a little bit of fun on the diamond before the games start. And secondly, to be frank, the early part of May is tough for us sometimes. We have lots of rain, it's cold, so games get washed out, rained out. So we want to give ourselves a bit of a buffer before we started going. The thing for you to note too is Pearson's not open that first week of May. They're going to open it the second week of May, starting May 9th. It doesn't impact your practices because we practice at Joe Kane at 15U. Your games are at Larry Pearson, but your practices are at Joe Kane, and so you should have no trouble being on the diamond starting that week of May 2nd. Practices, just so everybody knows, if you're wondering, practices for 15U are most nights of the week. So there's a couple teams will practice on Tuesday night, a couple teams will practice on Wednesday night, and then a couple teams will actually practice on Sunday afternoon. And so all your practice, like I said, are at Joe Kane, but that's when the practice schedule is for our 15U groups. There's the season. We expect the season to start May 16th. So that's that Monday, May 16th will be your first games up at Larry Pearson. Games are at 6 o'clock on Monday nights. And then there is a tournament this year. And the tournament actually, I meant to change this, I haven't changed it yet. And Lindsay doesn't even know this yet either. We've been trying to play around with the tournament dates here for 19U and 15U, and we're going to move it around a bit. Your tournament's actually going to be a week later than what is on the screen here. And the reason being is there's a couple of conflicts that don't allow us to move the tournament like we wanted to. So this is what it was posted on the GMBA website when you registered. But so your term is June 24th to June 26th. And then your playoffs will be July 17th to July 22nd. And we'll talk about both of those a little bit further along here.
Jeff, can I just ask a quick question?
Yeah.
When we go back to practices, we're practicing on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays.
Yeah.
And it's Joe Kane only, right? Is that
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So because we have 8 teams and we have 3 nights, obviously we're going to be joining forces, I presume.
Yeah, so it's actually 4 time slots. Ian, on Sunday, there's a group that's going to practice from 4 to 6, and then a group from 6 to 8. And so there'll be 2 teams on the diamond, on a diamond together practicing each night or each time slot.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Good question. That's a great question. So team practices. We're going to talk a little bit about team practices. One of the things that we're providing all of our coaches across GMBA is just some structure around practices. I know some of you it sounds like most of you have been coaching for a while, but if you are new or just looking for some new ideas, we have a couple of thoughts here to help you with your team practices. And so a couple of things here that we're really encouraging. Start your practices on time and end them on time as well. You've got 120 minutes, you got 2 hours on the diamond for your practices. To your call how much of that you want to use. I would expect at 15U we're at least using 90 minutes of that practice time, if not the full 2 hours. Again, that's kind of your call with your team, get a sense of your players, what they can work at, but definitely at 90 minutes, I think is totally doable for 15 or 14-year-old baseball players. Really encourage you to plan your practices in advance. Like Ian and I were just chatting. There's 2 teams on the diamond. You'll practice with the same team each week. Really encourage you to work with that other team during your practice, not to run sort of 2 separate practices, but really work together and run your practices together. Maybe one week one coach plans a practice, next week the other coach plans a practice. As a way to work through it, right? Definitely have a warm up as part of your practice. Good 10-15 minutes to start your practice, get a good warm up in, and then move from there into a throwing progression. And one of the areas that we're really focusing on from a development point of view this year is our throwing skills from all of our players from 5U to 19U. It's an area that we've identified is an area that we need to develop further for our baseball players. It impacts all aspects of the game, right? Of course, it impacts our pitchers, right? Our better throwers are better pitchers. You know that, we all know that, right? So if we can develop better throwers, we can develop better pitchers. If we got more pitching and you got better pitchers, better baseball game, right? So throwing is such an important skill and one that is a big time emphasis for us at GMBA. So at 15U, This is what we're really encourage you to spend a good 10 to 15 minutes in a good throwing progression before at every single practice to give your players lots of time to warm up, but also to work in their throwing skills, right? And do a couple things as you're working on your throwing skills. One is really emphasize their four-seam grip as part of the throwing progression, that they're throwing with a four-seam grip every single time, right? That's what the grip we want to throw when we're an infielder. That's the grip we want to use when we're an outfielder. And for most of our pitchers, we want them throwing four-seam fastballs most of the time, right? Because we like strikes. So four-seam grip, important, right? Hey, start about 20 feet, back yourself up from there. Maybe it's every 10 throws. But more important actually is when your players feel like they're ready to take that step back, right? And one of the drills that I really emphasize and I think works really well, and it's simple to use with your players as part of your throwing progression, is just use this step behind drill. So I'm just going to click on this YouTube link here. And the step behind drill is really sort of simple progression around just simple throwing, right? Just stepping back with your right leg behind your left leg and throwing, and that's it. And we use this with with the teams that I coach as our primary throwing drill. It does so many great things around promoting proper throwing mechanics. If you watch, the thrower is moving towards his target when he's throwing that baseball, which we want them to do, right? The glove side shoulder, by that player stepping behind, I'll play that again. Glove side shoulder stays locked in, squared, not flying open at the target, right? You can promotes good posture with throwing, and it's a really simple drill or a simple exercise for you to teach throwing with your players. And so we're encouraging all of our teams from 10U up and get into our throwing progression is just use that step behind drill. There's tons of things you can do, but I think, and I know this is as I coach a ball team too, it's hard to do everything, get everything in your practice when you see them once a week for maybe 2 hours at a practice, right? How do you get everything in? There are 30 different ways you could throw to warm up, right? But I believe that's one of the best ways to do it. It's simple, that's effective. And so we do the step behind drill almost all the way out until we get to a point where we have to move to crow hops because it's, the throw is becoming a bit further. And the other thing I would encourage you to do too is as your players get further out, especially around the 60-foot mark, if you've got players to throw two-seam fastballs or changeups, have them use those grips at that point in time to play catch with and to warm up with. We don't get enough time, we're going to talk about bullpens in a little bit around our practices, but we don't get enough time to work on those secondary pitches, right? And so this is a great way when you're just playing catch with somebody, throw with your two-seam grip, throw with your changeup, especially around that 60-foot mark, which would match what you're going to pitch at this year, at 14U and 15U. Talked about working the crow hop as you get to a farther distance, and then once your arms start feeling good as you get through, through the end of May and into June, you can really stretch them out, work them out, some good long toss, and then work them back in as well. So you work out and then work them back in, and when they come back in, you should have nice loose arms and players that can throw with some good velocity when they're playing catch. So, and the last point we'll make around throwing routine is throw some competition into it, right? I think all the players I've ever coached do better when there's something on the line, right? Could be as simple as, hey, who can be the first pair to play, catch 20 baseballs in a row, right? Or who can catch the most during our progression without dropping one, or what have you. Just something that adds a level of competition in, can bring the sort of the energy level and to a drill that you're working on. Okay. So here's what we're saying. So we're saying 5 minutes, 10-minute warm up, 10 to 15 minutes throwing progression. And then as a group, so all 24 players, right? Or 26 players, there are some teams with 13 players. As a group, run a group infield drill right away at the beginning too, because you got the full diamond available to you. You've warmed up, you've thrown. Hey, let's spend 10 minutes on taking some ground balls here, okay? And and split your teams up here. Get 4 or 5 groups going here. Multiple coaches hitting baseballs, right? And and to start, you could just have the simple as just they feel the ground ball and they throw it back to the coach, who's a smiley face down here. Where and then the ball gets hit back out again, right? And so you got multiple lines, lots of kids getting lots of reps. Nobody's waiting a really long line to receive a ground ball, and then you can progress off this, right? So if you've been doing this for a couple of weeks and hey, it's working good, we got lots of ground balls in. Maybe we're going to work, but now we're going to throw some balls to a base here. So maybe you're hitting ground balls to the second base group here, and they're throwing over to a first baseman, and then these guys at shortstop and third are throwing the ball home, right? And then maybe you switch it up, shortstop throwing to first base, and everybody else is throwing home or something like that. So it gets you working on the bases if you want. So you can progress to that. You can also progress to work in outfielders and work on cutoff drills and throws from the outfield into, into second base, into third base, into home as well as you progress through that early part of your drill. But you're working together with all 20 plus players in this drill in smaller groups, spread out, lots of coaches on the field, lots of balls in play, and lots of opportunities to develop as well. So, hey, that takes you 10 minutes. So now we're kind of like the 30-minute mark into your practice, somewhere around there, 30, 35 minutes. We grab some water. And then for the last hour or so, here's a suggestion of how to set up your practice, right? To get everybody moving, lots of stuff happening, and lots of opportunities here for development here. So, there's lots here on the screen here, but we'll kind of walk through it together here. So number one here, we got coach pitch BP. We talked about that. We got a all-star BP thrower here, which is awesome. At Joe Kane, there's L screens. There's an L screen at Joe Kane. We'll get through Ian to all you the combination lock for that L screen, so you can use that L screen for your BP sessions that you're throwing, right? Hey, so you got a player taking BP. Maybe we recommend about 8 swings per round. Work some bunting in. Maybe on one of the rounds you're working on some 2-strike hitting. If that's an area of emphasis for your players. Especially if you start seeing that as a bit of an issue as you move along. We got a player working on coach pitch BP. The other piece too, I really recommend is the throwing. And from my experience, so that I'm just like you out on the field. It's tough to throw batting practice. We sound like we got a great batting practice pitcher here, but it is tough. So if you don't have an awesome batting practice pitcher on your coaching staff, don't worry about throwing the ball overhand. Turn the flip the L screen around and just throw some underhand toss. A good underhand toss ball is better than much better than a poorly thrown overhand coach pitch BP. Okay, so if you don't got a coach in your team who can throw BP, flip that L screen around and just give them some underhand toss. It's better that they're getting good pitches to hit and lots of reps versus the ball coming in flight through an overhand pitch or on a front toss pitch. Okay, so that's one of your players doing that. You got another player or two down in the bullpen here working on a bullpen. We're talking about pitching and the importance of pitching a little bit. We really want you to develop pitchers across your entire team. So everybody should be pitching in a bullpen at practice. They may not want to pitch in the game for you, and I totally get it. Coach players who don't want to pitch in a game, but we really still want them to pitch at practice and develop that skill, and hopefully get to a point where they actually want to try and pitch in a game for you. Okay, so you got a player or two down the bullpen working on the bullpen. Maybe you've got a parent catching the bullpen for you, or if you got a catcher you want to get some work in, they're down there catching that bullpen for you too. So there's another player down there. You got a player over here, number 3 here over at first base, working on leadoffs, secondary leads, base stealing. So you can have them take their lead, right? Work on a secondary lead. Work on getting a good jump when that pitcher makes their move towards home. Good way to get players staying active and to work on base running, which can be tough to work into our baseball practices, right? Got another player down here, number 4, working on some wiffle ball BP. So everybody's gonna get a bunch of wiffle balls. Here's a way to get some more swings in, right? We don't got a lot of space. You find a spot at Joe Kane to get another coach throwing wiffle balls overhand, wiffle balls underhand. And heck, at 15, you could have another player in there throwing BP to that player as well with some wiffle balls. Again, the idea is to get more swings in at practice, right? Then you've got a couple players, 2 or 3 players sort of left, shagging balls in the infield, right? And so all those players there, those are the 1 through 5 there. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or so players, 6, 7 players. Rotate them around, right? You got about 30 minutes in that area there. So they rotate around from all those spots. They're all going to hit the bullpen. They're all going to get some live BP action. They're all going to hit off whiffles. They're all going to shag some ground balls in the infield. Hopefully they get a couple rounds of BP in there as well, with lots of movement, lots of stuff happening for that half of the group, right? And then the remaining players are out here in the outfield, right? So we got about 6 players here out in left field, and what, Joe Kane, there's tons of outfield space. You got lots of room to do lots of stuff. If you got guys who can really crush the baseball, and you worry about them somebody getting hit in the outfield with a ball that's hit, then you can move them way back. You got tons of space there at Joe Kane, right? So the guys in left field, you're going to be working on throwing and catching skills, right? I talked about throwing is such an important skill and one that we're emphasizing. We'd love for you to spend an additional 15 minutes at every practice working on throwing with your players, right? Could be quick hands competitions, have them work on their underhand tosses, throws on the run, play some games of relay drills, etc. Lots of throws, tons of throws in the outfield. and you got lots of space to have some fun and to keep developing that throwing skill. And so that's about 6 players or so. And then the other 6 players are out here in right field. Maybe they're working on some outfield stuff. Fly balls, there's that great zigzag drill most teams do, got some cones down or other ways of, so you're running the cone, get a fly ball. You can do the quarterback drill, lots of other drills around fly balls, ground balls off the bat in the outfield as well. And then you can work on cutoff throws. You could do cutoff throws. You could set up an infield, like a mock infield in the outfield. There's tons of space there to do that if you wanted to. If you wanted to work on cutoffs for your outfielders, or heck, you could even, if you're really paying attention, you could run cutoffs into second base with your outfielders if they're paying attention to the guys that are hitting, and the coach that's throwing BP is paying attention as well. So we want to give, there's lots there. We wanted to give you this to say, really encourage you, first of all, to talk about where we want to see the focus this year around throwing, and to give you some ideas of how to set up your practice and to really maximize your time together. Because as I said, you're only together once a week, for those 12 weeks or so. So, but with this group, we got lots of experienced coaches here. What other ideas does this group have around drills, ideas, things you can add into your practice plan to sort of take this to that next level? What other ideas do folks have? No, don't be shy. Ian, Dirk, yeah, I know you've got something. What are you thinking?
Oh, geez, put me on the spot here. Yeah, I think, base running. I think that's something you mentioned, base running and leadoffs and stuff there, but I'm trying to think of specific drills and stuff. But don't put me on the spot.
If I can build up your base running idea, Ian, go back to our warm up here. Where we had a 10-minute warm up. One of the great, I love running bases as part of my warm up, right? So instead of just going for a run to the light standard and back, hey, let's split our team in half and let's run from second to home and from home to second base, right? Or home through first base, and let's practice base running, right? That's a great way to get the heart pumping and to utilize your time on the diamond and to build to work on a skill that, quite frankly, we don't work on enough, I think, at practice. I love that idea. Yeah, good thinking.
Yeah, the other thing I could just think of is scenarios. Just given different scenarios, okay.
Yeah.
And run through. Although they're 15U, they might, this is house league, right? So they may not know always where to go with the ball. So second and third, one out, where you going with it, that sort of thing. So I like scenarios. It makes it fun and can make it more interesting for the kids too.
Totally love it. And a great way to add that in might be here, where you're doing group fielding work. Perhaps you've got some base runners here now instead, right? And so you've got a couple base runners here at second base. You got a runner on second, and ground ball. What do we do with the ground ball to shortstop? What's the base runner doing? What's the fielders doing? Who's covering what base? You can take that. You can add that into your group fielding work here as well, where you're adding base runners, and scenarios into this section here for sure. What other ideas do folks have? Okay, well, you can save them all for the diamond, all right? But and there are lots of coaching resources too. So I don't know if I shared this one just yet, but I'll just pull it up here on the screen here. So right on the GMBA website, if you're looking for other ideas, right, there's a coaching link right here on the GMBA website, and in here there's tons of coaching tools, resources that you can get access to if you're looking to develop certain skills, or teach certain areas, or looking for certain areas that you want to get some drills for, or just instructional videos for certain skills that you see that need to be built within your players as well. It's a really good resource for you here as well. Okay, let's jump to games now. Let's get your practices. So we talked about that Tuesday, Wednesday, a couple on Sunday, and then games are Monday nights, 6 p.m. The 4 games are happening all at the same time. So games at LP at Larry Pearson 1, 2, and 3, and a game at Joe Kane at 6 o'clock on Mondays. Your schedule will be up on the GMBA website. It's actually it may be up there now, but it's not finalized yet. So if you see it up there, it might be a few changes to it. But it should be up shortly. And when it's finalized on the website, we'll let Ian know so he can let you know. And I'm hopeful by the end of this weekend that the schedule on the website is finalized and everybody's got a good sense of what those first your first few weeks are looking like. So hey, game days, Monday at 6 p.m. A couple of things here. We're going to get into the rules a little bit, but stuff I think most folks know. Hey, we bat our entire lineup. across all of our house league divisions. There's a 5-run mercy per inning. At 15U, the last inning is an open inning. And so the open inning, the key piece here, is either the 7th inning if you get that far, or if you're looking at your time limit and you think you're going to run out of time, it's you working with the other coach and the umpire to say, hey, are we going to designate this as our last inning? Call the open inning, and away we go. So that's what happens more often than not. And so you want to sort of pay attention to that and have a good conversation with the coaches and the umpire and make that decision. Okay. Other pieces here, standard across our house league divisions. All players got to play at least one infield and one outfield position by the 4th inning of every single game. Pitchers can pitch a max of 3 innings on a calendar day, and they cannot pitch on back-to-back days. This is something that's gonna be a challenge for you when it comes to tournaments. Okay, and so we're gonna pop back on the GMBA website here. I'm gonna there we go. Show you, go through some of the rules together, because we have tightened up the pitching rules this year for a couple of reasons. One is we're concerned that pitchers are pitching too much, and especially when it comes to playoffs. And we add the tournaments in this year. Our old rules allowed you to pitch on multiple times in one day, so you could pitch 3 innings in game 1 and 3 innings in game 2. And I can tell you, Baseball Ontario's pitch count rules, most players would not be able to pitch 3 innings in a game on Saturday morning at a tournament and 3 innings in a game on Saturday afternoon. They would have gone over their allotted pitches to be able to do that. And so we've tightened up the pitch count rules with a real eye towards player safety. The other piece too is, we really want you to develop pitchers, and we want teams to use more pitchers and not use the same 3 or 4 pitchers all season long. And you'll need to do that when we get to the tournament. If the teams that do well in the tournament are the teams that have depth in their pitching staffs, right? And so as a coach, we're encouraging you to develop pitchers right from the very beginning, and to have an arsenal of 7 or 8 pitchers is what you may need to win, to be the team that comes out on top at the tournament. So we'll jump into the rules here, walk through that a little bit, and we can talk a bit more about pitching as well. So rules again are on the GMBA website on the About tab here, rules and constitution. Okay, and then our house league rules that are right here. So we'll work through here. We won't go through them all together, but I do want to highlight a couple of the key ones here, just so everybody's aware. So you got to have a minimum of 8 players to play your game. These teams are 12 or 13, right? That's the team sizes, right? I think that's what we're looking at right now.
Actually 11 or 12.
11 or 12. Okay, great. So you need 8 for sure to play a game. If you're running short, you can call up from the teams at 13U. You can work with Ian, who will get you connected to the convener at 13U, who we don't have just yet. Lindsay's been filling that role for a little bit, but to call players up from 13U so you can you're not short during your game. Okay. If you hear any thunder, if there's any thunder at all or lightning seen or heard 15 minutes prior to your game or during your game, the game is canceled immediately. That's inside. We're encouraging coaches and the umpires to flag that when they see it. If the game's early on, it just started, we'll work really hard to get that game rescheduled for you. Okay. Please don't try to push through a baseball game just because you're worried we won't get it rescheduled. We will find a way to get that game rescheduled. If you play an inning, we'll get that game rescheduled. If you've played 6, we'll probably call it a day, okay, and move on from there. Okay, but please don't play if there's if the weather does not doesn't allow us to be out there on the diamond. Okay. The games are 7 innings unless there's curfew or weather. So for this group at 15U and 19U, any inning that begins after an hour and 45 minutes is considered your open inning. Okay, so if you're approaching that hour and 45 minutes, make sure you're talking to the umpires again and the other coach. Say, hey, this is our open inning, right? So it is the 6th inning, but this is when our open inning starts at that hour and 45 minute mark. Okay, if it's an hour and 40 and it's the 6th inning, you start. You can play that inning, and that may be your last inning. But the open inning starts after that hour and 45 minute mark or the 7th inning. Okay. It's metal or wood bats only allowed here, and it's only baseball bats. And I have to say that because at some point we had players using softball bats in here, so you got to use a baseball bat. Other than that, there's no real bat restrictions here as well. Okay. At 15U and 19U, so a couple other things we talked about. One player has to play. Every player's got to play that inning in the infield and the outfield by the 4th inning, and nobody can sit on the bench for an additional defensive inning until every other player is sat the same number of innings. So you can't have your best player out there the whole time, or and then have one of your one of your weaker players sit a couple innings that game. That's got to be fair throughout. At 15U and 19U, if a pit player or pitcher hits 2 batters in an inning or 3 batters in a game, the pitcher must be removed from the mound immediately and can't pitch again in that game. We did change that rule slightly for 15U to 19U because we actually have had coaches. The rule used to be if it was 2 batters in a game, you had to be removed. And we had coaches who had their players getting hit intentionally to get the best player, that best pitcher, taken out of the game as some way to try to gain an advantage against the other team. So that type of stuff, obviously that all of us hate that stuff, right? We're here to play some baseball, not try to use these rules here to our advantage to take advantage of something. So, but that's been a slight change to this rule here for 15U and 19U, 3 batters in a game or 2 batters in an inning. Okay. And then going to the 15U specific rules on top of that, so beyond our general rules. There really isn't a lot else to say here other than this piece around the pitching rules. So your pitchers can pitch a maximum of 3 innings in a game. They must be consecutive innings, right? And for this rule, an inning is considered delivery of 1 pitch to a batter. And once the pitcher is removed from the game, they can't pitch again. And then pitchers cannot pitch on back-to-back days. And so when we talk about the tournament in a second, when you've got a game on Friday and games on Saturday, your Friday pitchers can't pitch in those games on Saturday. Okay, so we'll get to that in a second. So, is there any questions here about the rules here? Anything that anybody wants us to go over some detail that you maybe popped up in the past that you think could be a thing?
Jeff, I do.
Yeah, go ahead, Trent.
Just for call-ups, like if we're team 2, can we only call up team 2 players?
So so that's the ideal situation, Trent.
Yep.
But there are a couple things that are because they've got the same color jersey as you, the whole bit. But there are a couple pieces there. And one is at 13U, we've got 4 teams, right, Lindsay? I think that's right. 4 teams that we got 8 at
that's right.
Yeah, and we got 8 at 15U. So that's not going to work, right?
No.
The second thing is more than anything, we want you to make sure you have a call-up player. So if you've got to go to team 1 or team 3, do that. Like, make sure you got a player. It doesn't matter to us so much that the uniforms match. It's nice when they do, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to work that way.
Okay.
And
just
I'm happy to help out too if you guys need call-ups from 13U, because like I said, my son plays in that division, so I'll have a pretty good handle on which kids are happy and willing to help out.
Okay, great. I had one other question, Jeff. Is there a rule on bat catching? Like, can the kids catch more than 3 innings or whatever?
Yeah, I think we removed that rule from our.
All right.
It's in the younger age groups, but not at
Okay.
15U. There's no limit at 15U.
Okay, and can a pitcher can a catcher and pitch say at the same game?
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, that was always a big hurdle in the past. Okay, great.
Yeah. No, we did change those rules for the older divisions. Baseball, Ontario's rule is you can't pitch and then catch in the same day.
Yeah.
But we've removed that rule for House League. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Because that's hard to do.
Totally is for sure. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome.
Jeff, I got a question too.
Yeah.
For the bats, I heard they were trying to bring in a drop restriction. Like, is there any drop 5 or less restrictions or anything like that, or is it just if it's a baseball bat, you're fine?
Baseball bat, you're fine.
Okay.
If you have the select players and the rep players, there is a drop 5 rule for the 15U and 14U age group, but that's for House League. It's whatever works for you as long as the baseball bat.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Last thing I'll say about pitching is those first couple of games, really hope your pitchers aren't going 3 innings in those games. It's a lot of pitches to throw early on in the season. Again, like I can't emphasize enough, we want you to have lots of pitching. So, maybe a pitcher throws an inning, 2 innings those first couple of weeks, and then you're building up to get to that 3 inning piece as you move into June and then obviously into July. So let's talk a bit about the tournaments here. So tournaments, we got 8 teams. Our plan is to divide, just do a random draw and divide your 8 teams into 2 divisions, an A pool and a B pool. You'll play everybody else in your pool. So you'll play 1 game on Friday night, 2 games on Saturday, and then the winners of the 2 pools, they will play in the championship game on Sunday. Pitching depth is critical for the tournament here. We just went through the rules. Can't pitch on back-to-back days. You can't pitch twice in the same day, right? So you got a pitcher who pitches on Friday night. Your pitchers who pitch Friday night, they can't pitch Saturday. So let's say you can get your 2 pitch. And the other thing, the other rule change you'll see for tournaments is we're playing 6-inning games in tournaments versus 7-inning games in tournaments to help you manage your pitch account a little bit and manage your pitching staff. So assuming your pitchers on Friday night you can get away with 2 pitchers on Friday night, and you can get away with 2 pitchers on Saturday morning and 2 pitchers on Saturday afternoon. You'll need at least 6 pitchers to get you through, and then get you through to Sunday. And as we know, it doesn't always work that way. So you probably need a 7th pitcher. You probably need at least an 8th pitcher to get you through those 2 days and make sure you're covered for those 2 days. And so you got teams of 11 and 12 players. You need somewhere from 7 to 8 pitchers of those players. So again, the teams that are going to really compete well in that tournament are the teams, in our opinion, that have some depth in pitching. So work your pitching into all your practices and get your pitchers pitching. Make sure all your pitchers had opportunities to pitch in those games before you get to your tournament at the end of June. Okay. Any questions around the tournament? It's pretty simple format. We'll get you the schedules out the whole bit, but sort of pretty simple tournament format. Nope. Okay. Those tournament games don't count in your regular season standings. The total standalone thing. We'll have a tournament champion. There'll be medals, et cetera, awarded for the teams that play on Sunday. Playoffs. So playoffs for 15U are July 17th to 22nd. Same deal. You'd be placed in 2 divisions, random draw. And so here's the other piece too. I'll say about the regular season. We keep score and we have standings, right? But at the end of the day, they don't matter, because we do a random draw to determine what seeding you have for the tournament and what seeding you have for the playoffs. So if you lose some games during the season because you let somebody pitch who, you were trying somebody out or giving somebody a chance that cost you a game, not a big deal, right? This doesn't matter at the end of the day. We still might end up with the best 2 teams in the same division, or they might be spread out, right? Because it's a total random draw when it comes to us putting our divisions together for the tournament and for the playoffs. So playoffs will begin on July 17th. We'll have 2 divisions going to 4 teams. You'll play everybody for your 3-round robin games. And then the top 2 teams from each pool, so there'll be more than we have for the tournament, will advance to the semifinals. So half the league will advance to the semifinals. And then the next day will be the finals after that. Again, pitching will be really critical, and depth of pitching will be critical. The tournament takes place over 5 days, and you're going to play. The winning team will have played 5 games to win this tournament. So you're going to need lots of pitching again to get you through the playoffs as well. So sort of a theme of what I'm talking about here today is encouraging you to develop pitchers and develop throwers. Because I think you'll need them and you'll want them and you'll be happy you got them when it comes to competing late in the season. So any questions around the playoff format? Again, that schedule, we'll get that up nice and early for everybody as well, so you're aware of that. And you can let your families know too. But you can tell your families right now when you're talking to them that July 17th to 22nd is locked in. Expect to be playing baseball. Please don't go away on vacation if you can, right? We need you here for our team during that week. So any questions about the playoffs? Nope. Okay, great. All right, let's talk about umpires. So Guelph Minor Baseball, like almost every other youth sports organization, is experiencing a shortage of officials, especially experienced officials, right? At GMBA, we lose about half of our umpires after their 3rd year of umpiring. I think this goes without saying, but I'm just going to say it anyways, because just so I can, if we need to have a conversation about this later on in the season, I can know that we had a conversation now about our expectation around our coaches, right? Obviously we expect you to be positive and respectful of all your players. You got to do that already. You stepped up to coach. That's why you want to do this. We expect the same thing to get with each other here throughout the season and with our umpires as well. Okay. You can absolutely talk to an umpire and ask for an interpretation of a call, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right? And we all know the proper way to have a conversation with an umpire, right? And a way that gets us into trouble when we're on the diamond, right? Really hope we don't get to this point, but if we do have anybody that's ejected, it's an automatic 1-game suspension. That's for both you and for your players. 15U tends to be the age where we start to see players get ejected. We do see some at younger ages, but not many, but we will start to see some at 15U. If your player gets ejected, make sure they don't go too much further so it doesn't become more than just a game suspension, right? You know, same thing for you. If you do get run, take it, walk away. If you're really still concerned about it 24 hours later, let Ian know, let me know, but don't take it out on that field or take it out of that umpire on the field, okay? And really want to encourage you too, and Adam Fanjoy, who's our president, but also and our umpire in chief, you know, he wants to know if you've got concerns about umpires, right? And so if you have a concern about an umpire, really want you to talk to Ian, talk to me. We will bring these concerns forward. It's absolutely not a bad thing, right? And I'll tell you, last year I had a concern about an umpire. I was umpiring one of my games. Really nice kid, but to be frank, the level of ball he was umpiring was too high for him, right? He wasn't ready to umpire at that level. That's all it was. It wasn't that he was a bad umpire. The game was just too fast for him, and he wasn't ready to umpire at that level. So I shared that feedback, or at least my opinion, with Adam, who then, when they assigned him to his next game, it was actually one of my games, he brought him back to my game, but sent him there with a senior umpire to help mentor that umpire and help him develop as well. It was totally cool, right? As a way to help that umpire grow, as they're all learning as well. So, hey, let's be kind to each other out there for sure, right? Let's be respectful to each other, for each of you with each other and with our umpires, and hopefully we're not having any conversations about discipline at all. And again, if you got something or thought or concern around an umpire, please share those with Ian and or myself, and we'll make sure that those get passed on appropriately. Okay, awesome. A couple other things here quick, as we're getting close to the end here. Police check. So if you're a brand new coach, if you didn't coach last year, you need to do a police record check. We'll send this out to you. There's the stuff on the left is how you do it if you live in the city of Guelph. There's a website you can jump on, etc. If you live in Fergus, Elora, Rockwood, or out in the townships or Wellington County, you need to go to the OPP office and we can get you a letter to help you with that. There's no cost for police checks if you use the code in the city of Guelph, this authorization code for the city of Guelph ones, or if you get this letter from us proving your volunteer status with GMBA, they won't charge you for a police check. Okay. And if you did do a police check last year, then you can sign a declaration letting us know that nothing's changed with what was on what your police check showed last year and to this year, and you can download that declaration form from our website and send that in. Okay, so those need to be done over the next couple of weeks, and we're going to get some info out through Ian to you again as some reminders around police checks. But if you could get on those as soon as you can, that'd certainly be helpful for all of us. So next steps here and our last thoughts here, and then we'll open up for questions. So police checks like we talked about. Later on this weekend, if you can, reach out to your parents, let them know what team their child is on, let them know about the uniform pickup starting May 2nd, maybe give them a little info around their first game. At a minimum, just let them know that, hey, we're gonna be on the diamond that weekend, May 2nd, and games are gonna start the week of May 16th. Come on by the baseball office next week. Let's get you your gear on April 25th or April 27th. And then as I showed you those coaching links, take a look at those. Those resources are there for you. If you need anything else, don't hesitate to reach out. We'd be happy to share even more resources if you're looking for something specific. So I think that's it for us for slides. Happy to take any questions from anybody if there are any.
Can I just ask, what's the situation with Select this year, and how does that, are those players evenly divided? What days are they playing at? Because last year I had a Select pitcher that couldn't pitch for my team often, and I felt like it was a little bit of a struggle to work through that. Yeah.
So I'll answer your last question, and then I'll let Ian answer how he spread the Select players out. So what we're asking our Select coaches to do, and so Matt Smith is the head coach of the Select team here at 15U, is to work with each of you coaches to understand when they're pitching in your games or when they're pitching for the Select team. The Select team's games are on the weekends, on Saturday or on Sundays. The Sunday games will not conflict with your Sunday practices. The Sunday practices are early on in that day for the Select, so you'll still be able to come to your practices if you have them on Sunday. And the idea is that is to work together to say, hey, Kevin, this week, we got a tournament. I'd really love that pitcher to pitch for me this weekend. So he probably is okay if he's not available to pitch for you in your game on Monday, right? Because that'll be the case. If he pitched for him all weekend, or at least once during that weekend, he's probably not available to pitch for you on Monday. Say, okay, no problem. Yeah, I know I don't got him. I'll use somebody else today. But hey, can I have him for next week, right? So having that conversation with the select coach, so that it's really clear around who's pitched when, who's available when, and that, and so that it's fair to everybody. The select teams will not have any games on the weekends of your tournament. The select teams will not have any games during your playoffs as well. As well as, and they won't be on any tournaments during your playoffs as well. So you will have your full rosters, free of any select responsibilities for those two key moments. Okay. Ian, can you just talk about how you spread out the select players?
Yeah, sure, Jeff. So Matt Smith, who's the coach, he sent me basically a ranking based on his observations for each of the 12 players. So every house league team will get 1 or 2 select players, and I tried to spread it out so that no one's getting the number 1 and 3 ranks type thing, and so it's spread out evenly, and it's not gonna be perfect because there's 12 players and 8 teams, but everyone will have 1 or 2 select players.
Awesome. Thanks, Ian. That's a great question, Kevin. And it's a hard thing to manage for sure. It's absolutely difficult thing to manage. But we've put the emphasis on the select coaches to be the leaders with you to have those conversations, and for them to come to you and have those conversations. What other questions do you guys have? Okay. Silence. Okay, that's good. Okay. Well, that's it for us tonight. Again, hey, really appreciate you stepping up to coach. I appreciate everybody's efforts here. We're looking forward to an awesome season. It's like less than 2 weeks away, and then I'm looking at the weather out tonight. We could be playing ball tonight. Tonight's a nice night for baseball. So,
can I ask one last question
yeah,
myself?
go ahead, Kevin. Yep.
Going to Larry Pearson there, like how does setup work? Are bases there and stuff?
Yeah. So the bases are there. They're in the green bins. You're going to get the code. Each coach will get the code through Ian for those green bins to set the bases up. That's a really great question. When you get there, because you'll be the first games on the Monday evening, your team's job will be to pull the tarps off the diamonds, right? To pull the tires off around the pitching mound and to set them aside, and then to put the bases out, which you'll find in those green bunkers that are in around all the diamonds there up at Larry Pearson. And then the midget teams, the 19U teams, play right after you guys at 8 o'clock or 8:30, and so they'll be responsible for putting the bases away and for putting the tarps back on the diamond and the tires back on those tarps, etc. as well. That's a great question, Kevin.
Anything different at Joseph or Joe Kane?
Joe Kane. So all the coaches too will get a bunker key for Joe Kane. And in that bunker will be the drop-in bases for Joe Kane. So they're already measured at 90 feet. You'll be able to go in there and drop those bases in. And then when you're done, put them back in the bunker and lock it up.
Just a quick question, Jeff. It's the home team that's usually always responsible for that.
Yeah.
I know there's actually been talk about that. Like if the visiting team gets there early and they want to help out, that'd be awesome, guys. Like let's help each other out too. And some people I know work late. So if there's anyone that's a home coach and needs the visitor coach to set up, I think let's help each other out if we can, if that's all right.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It's a bit of work to set up the diamonds. It's awesome to play up there, but tires are kind of awkward, and got to get them off and get the tarp off, and maybe it rained that day, so it's a little bit wet and muddy. More hands, the better. That's a good point, Ian. Absolutely. Great. What other questions? Those are 2 good questions, Kevin. Thank you. Okay. Again, hey, thanks everybody for your time. We appreciate it. And we'll look forward to seeing you all in the diamond in a couple of weeks.
Sorry, Jeff, one last thing. Sorry, I forgot to just mention. So expect an email from me either tomorrow or Saturday with team lists, and then we can discuss more. I'll send out an email about how we can split up practice times, because I've got a few emails of people requesting certain days, and I want to accommodate everyone as much as I can. Okay.
Cool. Good point. Awesome.
Awesome.
Great. Thanks, guys. Have a good night, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jeff.